you should already know what this is. And for those of you that aren't, just chill. See, we gonna get down to the other stuff here in a second. But what I'm always trying to get everybody to understand is everything is vibration. So, before we do anything else, just vibe.
Does everyone need an audition to get?
You ain't gotta go through all that shit.
Then I choose you.
Be cool, baby. Mr. Pretty Tony. I mean, you know the rules of the game. I mean, your bitch just chose you. Now we can settle this like we got some class, so we can get into some gangster shit. Hey, tree nigga. You ain't no pimp.
Just vibe. Everything is vibration. That's the kush. Just let it seep in. That's the kush. Let me welcome you to Mercury. Today is my Mercury return. Just vibe. Walk his cat house, how you doing? Just let it seep in. Everything is vibration. This right here is some Mercury and Leo vibrational therapy. Yeah. That's the kush. And if you haven't smiled yet today, now would be the perfect time to do so. And if you can't find a smile for yourself, please allow me to be the smile on your face. Because at the end of the day, all I am is the smile on your face. All I am is the motherfucking vibe.
On the trip through the galaxy.
Yes, sir.
Away from misery. Come with me on the trip through the galaxy.
But your feet won't leave the ground. Oh, yeah. Vibe. We're going to take just a few minutes to let a few more people trickle in, and then we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. Now, today, we're going to touch on the transits and elaborate on the aspects that might be affecting you. And then after that, who knows? Who fucking knows? Just vibe. What's up, Rich Wealthy? What's up, Anthony? How you doing, family? I'm here to give you an energetic forecast. Vibe. On the trip to the galaxy. Flying high. That's the push. Make sure y'all hit the like button as you come in the door. And in doing so, understand this is not about ego. No. This is about algorithm. This just helps us expand the platform. That way, if you're not trying to hear what I'm trying to say, at least we can get out to the next motherfucker who is. Straight like that. On the trip to the galaxy. Away from misery. Yeah, man. And just smile. Just vibe. Let that Leo energy sizzle in your spirit. It's Taco Tuesday, bitch. But it's also still Cancer season. Just vibe.
Listen, you like this?
Licious booty. Bratty Beretta. Yeah. My birthday was last Wednesday.
Let me see. You like this?
Straight like that. I'd like to welcome y'all to my Mercury return. See, Mercury is sitting at 0 degrees of Leo, and we'll talk about that, what that means in a minute, but I have Mercury at 0 degrees of Leo. So I will be heard. Oh yeah. But first let this talk to you. What's up, Sarah Woods? What's good?
Let me see. You like this?
That is epic, ain't it? Did I enjoy my birthday? It was all right. It was a great day. It was chill. I'm blessed. We're gonna jam one more, and then we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. See, the moon is still in Gemini too.
I'm so sick of it. Still I can't stop. I've been calling you.
I know that sucks, but at least you'll be healed soon.
I've run out of patience, but you don't give a damn about the things I do. I'm so sick of the ways that so I take a leap of faith, hoping you will still be hiding, 'cause I will be here raising.
Hold up. He said, hopefully I made a wish to blow out my candles. I'm grown. We didn't have any. We had a cake, but no candles. Nobody wants to put that many motherfucking candles on a cake. Old as I am. It probably took several packs. I ain't no spring chicken. No, I'm not old. I'm like that porridge that Goldilocks loved. I'm just right. Yeah, I like that. What's up, George? Just vibe. The vibe is the most important part. We're gonna get to the astrology in just a second. But first, we need to experience this vibe together. Not just hear it, but feel it, experience it, become a part of it. Now, let's talk about what's going on cosmically. Because the sun is now sitting at 11 degrees of Cancer. And so you might find yourself in your feelings. You might find yourself reminiscing or caught up in a memory. You might come to a point where you realize you're more sensitive than ever, and that bothers you a little bit. So you try to bury it. I say, no, don't bury it, baby, marry it. Express it. See, Cancer is emotion. The sun is ego and expression, so express it. Nah, don't repress it. Do what you need to do. If you need to start crying at the bar and fuck up everybody's night, do it. If you need to call up your ex and tell them that was never what you expected, do it. It's okay to reminisce, but don't ever go backwards. You hear me? Don't ever go backwards. Be careful. Now, with it being Cancer season, there is a focus on family. So call up your mama. Call up your brother. Fuck the mama. Yeah. Cook something. Do something to make somebody's day. You hear me? Or you can just do something to make me feel good. I'm talking real good. Ooh, I'm feeling that vibe. Yeah. It's Cancer season. It's okay to shed a tear. Yeah. Sometimes you have no choice. It's okay to reminisce. It's okay to feel. Because sometimes what you feel is the only thing that's real. Yeah, your thoughts can be confusing, but those emotions, they're right on point. Yeah. Can you feel that? Yeah, I feel it. What's up, Billy Douglas? Let me add you as a moderator. You've been here long enough. Welcome to the constituency. And I will say there is a certain softness that comes with Cancer season, even though it might be hidden in certain cases. You know, that crab has that tough outer shell, that exoskeleton. But inside of it, there's no spine. It's all mush. Yeah. Think about it like that. Sarah Woods. Sounds amazing. Tell it to my Cash App. And then that brings us to the moon. And the moon is now sitting at 2 degrees of Gemini. So you're going to feel all over the place. This might be a perfect time for you to talk about how you feel, because that's the only way you can make sense of it. Yeah. Conversation. This is a talkative energy. It's an intellectually curious, emotional nature that comes to the surface with this. People are going to have a thirst for information, and people are going to display a significant need to communicate. Yeah. This is the moon in Gemini. And people that want to keep it light. They don't want to dwell on things for too long. They want to keep it light, keep it simple. So there might be a lot of quick interchanges with the moon in Gemini. And you might want to remind yourself today to take time to listen to people, because you do so much talking that you might need to take a step back and listen, because if you want to nurture somebody, if you really want to help them, you need to be able to hear them. Hear them and then feel them. Yeah. And what's crazy is with the moon in Gemini, you're gonna experience a broad range of emotion. I'm talking about a large spectrum. It's not just gonna be one particular disposition that you're stuck in. Your mood is gonna change like that. So it's gonna seem like motherfuckers are crazy over the next couple of days. Like, goddamn, bro. Motherfucking go from lying to laughing to crying to feeling like they're dying, just like that. Yeah. And more than anything else, even if you're not feeling talkative, people are going to be moody with the moon in Gemini and the sun in Cancer. People are going to be moody. And ultimately, you're still going to feel social and playful, but that shit switches up from second to second, and you're like, not sure who you're dealing with, no matter who you're dealing with. That's the truth for that. Yeah. But what is cool is, even though the sun is in Cancer, with the moon in Gemini, nothing is going to get the best of you. Now, the moon is also sextile to Mercury for the next hour and a half or 2 hours. And so what this does is make it a lot easier for you to talk about things. What this does is bring some creativity into the mix. So this is the perfect time to do something creative with the way that you feel. This is a perfect time to write something down, tell a story, write some music. It's a perfect time for you to reminisce and tell people about something that happened to you that made you who you are. Because we're going to get to Mercury in Leo, but when Mercury's in Leo, you want to relate everything back to yourself. And so you might find yourself right now thinking about something that happened before. And then you're finally able to put it into words. And that might be a fucking flamboyant display. Yeah. Now, the moon is also trine to Pluto. So, even though this is the moon, this is still air trine, with it being Gemini and Pluto. And so there's gonna be some intense stuff that you have to talk about, or it could get the best of you, or it could start to eat at you inside, or it can start to be a bothersome energy for you. And so it's just natural for you to talk to somebody about it. And that conversation brings about changes. Now, as the day progresses, or the evening progresses, because it's actually nighttime in a lot of places, but as the evening progresses, we're going to see the moon slowly come into a conjunction with Jupiter. As a matter of fact, it's loosely conjunct to Jupiter right now, but it's going to gain effect over the next 4 or 5 hours. And so people are going to be able to talk about things. People are going to want to just, you know, do something to make themselves feel better, whether it be talking to somebody or doing something fun, because this is Gemini, so there is a variety of things that could help. But yeah, it's the perfect time for conversation more than anything else. And conversation does rule the nation. Don't get it twisted. Don't ever get it twisted. Yeah. Hold on, let me fix this. Oh, where's my other end of it? I gotta look at this. I can't feel it. But yeah. It's very interesting. And you should keep it as such. And you know, I was talking to a guy that I really respect that works for Kepler College, named Brandon Hansen. And he's an awesome astrologer. He mixes astronomy and astrology in a way that most people wouldn't be able to understand. He is quite the intellectual, and we had a conversation earlier that really made me think about things. And I realized mid-conversation that if Pluto wasn't influencing this energy, I probably wouldn't have listened to him. With me being a 0-degree Mercury in Leo, I get so caught up in trying to get my point across and stating what's on my agenda that a lot of the times I don't take a step back to gain perspective, and that's why I get humbled so much when I'm having debates or arguments with people. And so we had an interchange, and he said some stuff that really just made me take a step back and gain perspective, and I realized it was Pluto that did that. It had to be. Oh, Pluto. It had to be Pluto. But that was cool. So yeah. Tremania Bird, you're gonna have to elaborate on what you mean. And before I go any further, I haven't had to say it yet. Let me go ahead and help Fish out. Fish came on talking about some zesty boy. But the thing is, that doesn't matter here. We don't give a fuck about anybody's sexuality. This is about spirituality. And it ain't gonna be for everybody. This is priceless knowledge of self. We are the Vibe Tribe. You hear me? We're here to raise the vibration with this knowledge and information. We don't give a fuck about you coming on trolling, because all you're doing is exposing yourself. That's all you're doing is exposing yourself. And so when you come on calling people zesty, accusing people of being any type of sexual orientation, that doesn't do anything but make you stand out as a troll or a fuck motherfucker. Do you understand? We're not thirsty for subscribers or hungry for attention, because there are thousands of us all over the world. Thousands of us. So you can either stay here and enjoy this vibe, or swipe up, bitch. Swipe up, bitch. That's all you gotta do. This is about astrology and numerology and obtaining knowledge of self. And that's a beautiful experience if you're about that. If you're not, either myself or one of my constituents are gonna ban you immediately. I'm talking about exile you expeditiously. Do you dig? So understand, this is about high vibrational experiences. This is about knowledge of self. If you want to make you a channel where you roast everybody that comes in your chat, that's what you should do. If you want to be a comedian, go do that on your time. You hear me? And we'll go subscribe to you and we'll show you support. We might even send you a super chat. Other than that, just vibe. Don't fuck it up for yourself. Now, back to regular scheduled programming. Now, let's talk about Mercury. Because Mercury has just entered Leo. As a matter of fact, Mercury is at 0 degrees of Leo. And I love that because my Mercury in my chart is at 0 degrees of Leo. So I'm in what they call that Mercury return. So mentally, I'm there. Not to saying that I'm not always there, but right now, you fucking with the right one, baby. Now, with Mercury and Leo, everybody's style of communicating becomes more flamboyant. Words are used with extra finesse, and there could be a greater interest in impressing other people with your mental energy. You want people to respect your mind. You want people to be amazed by how eloquent you are, by how intelligent you can be. And it's something that I do naturally, see. That's just who I am. This is my element. I love to dazzle people with word wizardry. And at the same time, there's a stubborn mindset that kicks in. This is Mercury and Leo. Ideas become more rigid. And even though there's more animation when we share the things we're trying to share, there's also the possibility of needing to be humbled. People are going to be more argumentative. People are going to dig into certain subjects or certain thought processes without consideration of the consequences or the implications that could go on with that. And so there's going to be some situations where people are arguing and the person that's wrong isn't going to want to take a step back. They're going to go out in their shield, which ends up making them be humbled. See, Mercury actually falls in Leo. That means it's exalted in Aquarius because Aquarius has an open mind. But Mercury in Leo, as intelligent and intuitive as this energy can be, it relates everything to self. And so that brings quite a closed-minded approach. And I know that because me personally, there's a lot of times where people will say, hey, you should check this out, or you should listen to this. And I'll be like, man, I'm not checking that shit out. I'm not listening to that. I know what the fuck I know. And there's nothing that anybody can tell me that's better than what I know. Well, the problem with that is how is it that you can incorporate other ideas, or how can you obtain new information when you're so close to input? And I've noticed that when my ego gets involved, humility usually comes after that. And my ego always gets involved, so I'm always being humbled. But that's all right. I've learned so much in that process, but it's been the hard way. It's been the hard way. So, there's going to be a lot of storytelling with Mercury and Leo. There's going to be a lot of people exaggerating. There's going to be a lot of people who are saying things a certain way to get a certain effect. But is it real? Is it honest? Is it true? That's the question you have to ask. Are you saying things just for the effect? Or are you truly stating what you think and how you feel? That's the question you have to ask yourself with Mercury and Leo. Now, Mercury is loosely trine to Neptune, while opposite to Pluto.
I'm the producer.
And so, With Mercury trine to Neptune, this is a beautifully creative time. People's imagination is running wild. And when I see Mercury trine to Neptune, people are more prone to fantasies. And people are going to be really showing some elaborate displays. And so this is an excellent time to make or enjoy music, to write poetry, or writing a fiction story. But it's not the best time for speaking literal facts and sticking straight to the facts. And it's another, I would say, great time for you to get in touch with your intuitive side and trust that main line to the divine that resides inside of you. But it is going to be really hard for you to understand certain things because you're relating everything back to yourself. So if it has something that has to do with somebody else or their experience, you might find yourself questioning it or not being able to understand it because you can't relate it back to you. And so, yeah, good luck. And with Mercury opposite to Pluto, I've had Mercury opposite, or I've had Pluto opposite to my Mercury for a little over a year now. And so, with Mercury opposite to Pluto, the books would say that people are going to feel an enhanced ability for their mind to uncover hidden information. But I would say people's thoughts become more dogmatic than ever right now. People believe what they believe, and it's really going to take a lot for them to change their beliefs. But a lot can happen in a small amount of time with Pluto here. And so, what you have to realize is you can learn so much more if you were more open-minded. This is Aquarius and Leo, after all. And if you could think about what's best for everybody instead of thinking about the point you're trying to impart, that would go a long way as well. And I would also say with Mercury opposite to Pluto, people's business instincts and their tongue is sharp today. People gonna be fly at the mouth. I'm telling you. And you're going to want to pay attention to the motives of what other people are saying behind what they're saying. And so that's just something you got to deal with on your own. And do be wary of invasive thoughts of your own, because those can get in the way. But more than anything else, just be careful of having a closed mind, of getting stuck in one thought process or getting stuck on one thing so much that you're not getting the full scope of the situation or the information that you need to receive. So yeah. And then that next brings us to Venus. And Venus is doing some shit today. See, Venus is also in Cancer. So when we see Venus, which is sitting at 19 degrees of Cancer, in Cancer, people are more sensitive. People are more patriotic. People are more nostalgic. People are looking for an emotional connection with other people. People want to be nurtured. People want to nurture. People want to protect the people that they care about. They want to commit to something. They want security and love. People are more affectionate. They're more affectionate. And this can help with business when it comes to the security part, because people want to make sure that a situation is secure, or they want to make sure it's safe before they move forward on it. And so that can help in certain business endeavors. But it could also make you sell yourself short. It can make you settle. Now, what is great about this is Venus is in Cancer, sextile to Mars in Taurus for the next day or two. And so with this, as like I said with Mars and Taurus, people's actions become more deliberate and grounded. But with Venus sextile to Mars, people's need for security can end up being palpable or profitable, maybe even prosperous. Now, palpable means that you can feel it, you can touch it. Profitable means that you saw a gain from it, you saw a profit come from it. Now, prosperous is something that's a little more all-encompassing. And so, another thing today is with Venus sextile to Mars, this is a very sensual energy. It's not overtly sexual, but it is very sensual, very affectionate, very deliberate. It's smooth, harmonious, indulgent. Yeah, that's Venus sextile to Mars. What's up, Tiny Drea? And that need for security can influence you financially, like I said. That's gonna help. But there could also be where people are spending money. Just some small stuff. Like, I had some family expenses come up yesterday. My ex-wife hit me up and said, hey, I want to send our daughter on a cruise for graduation. And so I, of course, had to agree with it. And I mean, I don't disagree with it, but that just let me know I have some expenses that I have, I'm going to have to double up on business because I have some important expenses that I'm going to have to come out of pocket for relatively quickly. Also have to pay for graduation pictures and for a cap and gown. It's the least I can do. On a smaller scope, my current wife, she went to work this morning and she doesn't get paid for a couple more days. And I guess she spent her money on whatever she had, but she hit me up and said, hey, babe, can you send me some money for a coffee? And that's not a big deal, but as I sent it to her, I noted how good it felt to me being able to provide that simple pleasure for my lady. Like, it just felt good to make her feel good, to give her something she wanted, to help her enjoy her day. And I took note of it internally. I said, oh, that's Venus in Cancer. It's like, man, it felt so good to provide for her. It feels good to be able to provide for my daughter. Even though I don't have the money, I know I'm going to do whatever I have to get it. Because my child needs that. And that's a part of this process. So I noted how good it feels to me to have that role in my family and to be able to do those type of things. And it made me grateful for my family and grateful for the space to do so. But it did come through spending money, which is interesting now that I think about this Venus sextile to Mars energy. Now, hold on. Now, Venus is also exactly trine to Saturn. And Saturn has station retrograde, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But when we see Venus trine to Saturn, some would say that that's a sobering reality check coming into play when it comes into relationships or financial matters. But what I would say with this is you kind of start to feel compassion and it makes you want to help. I would also say this is kind of a solidifying of certain things like, hey, this concern is coming up. This is something that you need to be concerned about or something that you have a responsibility to take care of. So, hey, I think you should find the space to take care of it, like with my daughter's situation. Now, I can also say with this being Venus in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces, people can start to worry about something. And that means they're going to need some type of reassurance. they're gonna need some type of reassurance within their relationships. Like, hey man, are we all right? Is everything okay? And that's great to need, and it's great to provide. I know sometimes it feels like insecurity, but every now and then people just need reassurance that, hey, we're headed in the right direction. We're okay. Our love is real. And the little stuff that we let bother us isn't worth it. And sometimes that is one of the most healthiest things that you can bring into a relationship. Sometimes that reassurance is the best way for you to cope with the commitment. I remember the day before yesterday, I was feeling really good. I mean, I was looking good too. And I had just worked out or whatever, and I know I have a hernia, so I shouldn't be working out, but I just can't say I got too fat, y'all. Like, I've literally gained, and you can see it on me here, but I've literally gained 40 pounds in 4 months. And so, and that's what happens when I'm not a mobile person, because my weight is usually stable because I'm very active and I work out. And so I got to the point where I was like, man, and I'm very careful, but I'm just like, man, I'm gonna have to do something to turn this into muscle. Even if I can't lift weights, I need to be able to see if I can do push-ups without it bothering the hernia, or at least doing something that's more active, walking, stair step, or whatever I need to do. I need to be more active because that weight just came on me just like that. And ViBrATiONaL, that's possible. That's definitely possible. But this was before Jupiter was in Gemini. It was when Jupiter was in Taurus when I started gaining weight. Jupiter just came into Gemini about 6 weeks ago. But yeah, man, I done went into straight big back mode. But I had been working out, and then I was feeling good from my workout. I worked out and I was feeling good, and I was looking good, swole. Everything looked beautiful, and I usually can post pictures on social media, and I get an overwhelming response of how handsome I am or how fine I am. Yeah, that's cool. But what I wanted more than anything else is to be sexy to my wife. And I've never really felt that need, but that was something that was important. I went and asked her, babe. And it gave me a moment of insecurity with myself because I was asking something, but I just needed to know. I went and said, hey, babe, am I still sexy to you? And that's not something you usually hear from a man. So it did take a pause. Like, baby, am I, but as men, sometimes you need to take a step back and ask that, because it's real easy for us as men to let ourselves go. And so I kind of just was like, hey, I'm still, I'm still me. I'm still sexy to you, right? And she gave me the reassurance that I needed. But in that moment, I now realized that SaTuRn, that insecurity of that image of what we had going on, and the image of myself really had needed that reassurance of love. And so I had to just take that as it came, and then that reassurance was everything emotionally. It was everything emotionally. But I think if you need to give yourself the reassurance right now, make sure you give yourself that. It can be the best thing for your love nature. And just understand there's emotions that you have, and it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel with Saturn in Pisces and Venus and the Sun in Cancer. But with Venus in that trine with Saturn, it's okay to feel. Sometimes there needs to be a reassurance that there is emotions and feelings going on within a relationship. Sometimes the best thing you can do is take those feelings that you have and be creative with them. Sometimes it's okay for you to have that reassurance with yourself that, hey, what I'm feeling is natural and it's okay. If you have fear, if you have anxiety, that's a part of the human experience. If you have insecurities, that is sometimes a part of love and relationships. And so you need to figure out what you can do to give yourself that reassurance. I know we get caught up in social media, and everybody wants to troll people, and everybody wants to make fun of the next person for certain weaknesses that they're perceived. But hey, you need to give yourself what you need, regardless of what anybody else thinks about it. See, Venus is also coming into a trine with Chiron. Not a trine, a square. I said trine. Venus is coming into a square with Chiron. And so the stuff that we feel within our relationships, the stuff that we're not expressing, kind of comes to the forefront and forces confrontations with it, whether it's within self or with partner. And so it was just like, man, I've had so much going on, and I do feel great, y'all. When it boils down to it, I still have the same issues going on, but the pain is not there. I feel great. You know, I feel great. And so I just needed, I needed that reassurance, and that was what I needed for myself inside of myself. And some of us don't need validation from anybody else. Now, funny for me, Venus is on my midheaven. So there is a little bit of external validation that I am needing. But, and I got that. But I also just, and it's opposite to Mars too, but I also just feel like all of us need to understand that whatever you're feeling right now, it's okay. It's okay. And that's a good thing. Even if you don't feel great, it's okay to not feel great some days. Even if you have insecurities, it's okay to have insecurities sometimes. If you have worries, hey, give yourself the reassurance that you need. That's the best thing you can do for you. Sometimes it's the best things you can do for your relationship. Sometimes it's the best things you can do for your business, is to realize, hey, that worry is real. What I'm feeling is real. And so the beautiful energy of Saturn retrograde is going to allow us to gain perspective, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But first, let's talk about Mars. And see, Mars is in Taurus, so our actions become more patient and determined and deliberate. People are thinking about money, people are thinking about stability and security, but people are also very stubborn. So this type of energy can be responsible for you having the patience and determination to really wait things out and keep sticking to something until you see the results that you want. Or it can be responsible for you setting your bar so low that you never reach your full potential. That's the nature of Taurus energy. What's up, Sauce Walker? What it was, cuz. And so it just kind of comes into play that us as individuals, we're wanting to see the results of our efforts right now. With Mars in Taurus, people want to make sure that it's worth it before they work it. And people want to see tangible results. Now, sexually, this is very sensual. Very sensual. People want to take their time and do it right. They want to make the most out of every situation, out of every sensation. Also, hold on, let me fix this. Look at that. Situations and sensations coming from the sensei himself. Yeah. Hold up, let me fix this now. Oh, I can't even get a hold of it. I'm like around it, but I'm not on it. See, this shit is tripping now. I might need to tie it one more time. Hold on. We gotta double knot this motherfucker. There we go. Now my comb is stuck. Alright, we good, we good. But just move deliberately and be patient with yourself right now. Now Mars is also sextile to Saturn. And so when you see Mars sextile to Saturn, it can be a little bit more difficult to get anything done, but people are going to have the patience and determination to stick it out and keep pushing and keep grinding. Now, this is Mars and Taurus sextile to Saturn and Pisces. So what this also is very creative. You just got to believe. You got to have a reason to keep pushing, to keep going. Sometimes you have to have faith in the results, and that's hard for some of us. I wasn't born with a lot of faith. I have Saturn in Sagittarius. I don't believe in much. I need to see results. And that's why I love astrology and numerology, because I can see this stuff play out in real time. I've seen this shit play out in real time. I've seen that astrology works. I've seen that numerology works. I haven't always seen that having faith in God makes a situation better. There's a whole bunch of people who had faith that they were going to get healed, and they still ended up killed. And so, with the experiences that I had, with my grandfather being the pastor of the church, with me seeing my mom have an illness and pray every day and go to church 2 times a week and say, hey, I'm getting healed, son. I'm going to be okay, son. And still find her dead. It put something inside of me that really robbed me of faith. And so what ultimately ended up happening is I started to live by the MeRcUrY state motto. That means show me. Show me. And so with this right here, I've had to learn how to find my faith again. Now, with Saturn and Pisces, it is definitely about finding your faith regardless of the situation. But first, understanding what faith is. Understanding what faith is. Faith is about believing in the process. Believing in the process. That means even if it doesn't turn out how you expected, it turned out how it's supposed to. And that's faith. That's the faith I didn't have when I was a kid. I thought, hey, you're praying. Having faith means you believe that it's going to turn out the way that you want it to. But you're praying and you're asking for favor, but true faith is where you trust in the process, meaning that if it doesn't turn out how you want it to, you still realize it's turning out how it's supposed to. And so you got to put the work in here. You have to stay deliberate. And with Mars sextile to Saturn, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, it's going to turn out how it's supposed to turn out. You hear me? And even if it's not the expected results, it's still results. You might find something better. You might find something that's more valuable to you. You just have to stay deliberate. You hear me? Stay deliberate. Learn how to trust processes. Do your part. Be deliberate. Be patient with yourself and situations and trust the process. And you end up getting something more valuable than you would with foolish expectation. You hear me? The first thing people mess up when they're dealing with Pisces energy is having expectations. Having expectations. No, this is the mystical, the undefinable, the unexplained. Sometimes it's the realization that pain is a part of the game. Sometimes, even though there are certain things lost, there are more valuable things that are gained. See, divine is better than plain. I don't think you heard me though. Now, let's talk about Jupiter. Because Jupiter is now sitting at 8 degrees of Gemini. And so first of all, this makes people's mind more curious than ever. Makes people as a whole more clever than ever. People are seeking stimulation. People want conversation. The last thing they want to be is convalesced. Now, I also want you to understand that when you're seeking stimulation, Jupiter is going to expand certain things, but without boundaries. So people don't know when to stop. So as I've cautioned you, ever since Jupiter came into Gemini, that stimulation-seeking behavior, it becomes a problem when people get stretched too thin and they don't get closure on any subject. People get stretched too thin and then they don't get any closure. They're moving on to the next thing without finishing the last thing. Then you leave a lot of shit undone. And then you have a whole bunch of irons in the fire, but you don't have enough fire, so the shit is cold. Yeah. And what else can we say about Jupiter and Gemini? People are wanting versatility. They want options. And that can be fun. But people don't want to get stuck on one thing, and people don't want to get bored, because when people get bored, people get mischievous. People get mischievous. And I will, like I said, say that this energy can be fickle in a certain way. It's not consistent. It's just not consistent. And it's definitely not consistently applied. I said applicated, but applied in one place. So yeah, be careful with that. Now, Saturn has now stationed retrograde. And we've talked about Saturn in Pisces for well over a year now. So, as we've said, Saturn in Pisces wants you to learn how to process things in a healthy way, but also set boundaries between yourself and certain emotions in certain situations. And there could be some fear and some anxiety, and sometimes that's real and it's relevant, and sometimes it isn't. But it's up to you to establish discernment in what is real and relevant and what isn't. What's worth worrying about. There's also situations with other people where there might be some emotions between y'all that might no longer be valid, or they might have been confused in the first place. As I spoke on before, there are situations with people where they think somebody has a problem with them, and the truth is, the only problem that there is between them and that other person is that they think there's a problem between them and that other person, because that other person isn't worried or thinking about them in the slightest bit. Not in the slightest, dog. I gotta adjust myself here. Sometimes there's anxieties that we have that are caused by the mood of the moment or the temperature of the times. It's nothing personally to do with us. And then there's also this illusion of control. Like, there's certain things that you have control over. And so the truth of the matter is there's also certain things that you have no control over. But what you do have control over is how you react to things and how you process things. And so now that Saturn has stationed retrograde, what this is allowing us to do is gain perspective, because Saturn is hard all the time. That's why there's so many misconceptions about what Saturn retrograde is doing. I've seen so many memes, and I actually addressed it on Facebook or on social media the other day. It's so many people before Saturn went retrograde, they were saying, Saturn's about to go retrograde, people about to get theirs. And no, that's not what Saturn does. See, Saturn is always hard. Saturn is always hard. Saturn is always trying to teach and put strain and stress on a situation so that you can master whatever is involved. But when Saturn stations retrograde, what we see is Saturn eases up a little bit. And what it's doing is allowing you to get perspective, especially in Pisces. We got to ease up just a little bit. And then for these degrees that are on the focal point of Saturn retrograde, which is 19 through 12 degrees, it allows you to gain perspective on what's going on. And some people say, well, this is where Saturn is real hard on you, and if you did the work and you've done, when Saturn goes retrograde, this is where you reap the rewards. Look, man, that's not how it works either. Now, what this does is ease up a little bit. It does allow you to a little breathing room or a little perspective, like, okay, this is what's going on. And so that's how I have to deal with it. But you still have to deal with it. Brian C. Saturn is also in my 6th. Well, it's retrograding back into my 5th, but it's been in my it was in my 6th briefly for a few months. And so, look, man, what you have to do with this is just allow yourself to see what the problem is. See if there is a problem. Allow this perspective, or allow yourself to gain perspective on what you can do moving forward, or how you can take care of this. Or realizing you have no control over this, so why worry about it? Or realizing, hey, the only thing you need to worry about is processing things healthily. But more than anything else, this is the time where you're like, okay, as Saturn eases up a little bit, before Saturn goes back direct here in November, because Saturn is going to be retrograde until November 15th. I saw somebody say December 1st, and that's not true. It's November 15th. But Saturn will station and not move until December 1st. And I mean, it's always moving, but now it's moving so slow that it's perceived as if it's moving backwards. Because in relation to how the other planets or astrological bodies are moving, it looks like it's moving backwards because they're moving so quickly and Saturn is moving so slowly. And so with this right here, for these few months, more than anything else, it's just like you're going back over what Saturn's already been there. Saturn, people are saying, people are going to feel karma like they never felt before. But the truth is they have felt it before because we've just been through these degrees over the last 4 or 5 months. We're just going back over the stuff that we've already seen. So this allows you, once again, once Saturn comes back into play, oh, this is what's going on. Or this is not what's going on. Oh, I get it now. And through that, that allows you to work towards it or master the situation or realize you have no control over it. Which is beautiful in itself. It's really beautiful. I love that. Oh, I love that. Just let it vibe. That's right. Eat old lamb. Whether you're Christian or not, the serenity prayer always applies. Whoever authored the serenity prayer was really onto something. It's not just for people who are in recovery or people who are Christians. it really is a model to live by. It really is a movement to get behind for yourself. God, Creator, Self, whatever you're looking at as divinity, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Oh, that's some Saturn and Pisces shit. And to think about that really being prominent in NA and AA specifically. When people are really stressing about addictions and people are stuck in those escapist tendencies and they're feeling overwhelmed with life. Oh, that makes so much more sense. That's how they feel about that. And so right now, no matter what's going on, give yourself a break. Take a step back and gain perspective. Figure out what's going on with you, what's worth worrying about and what isn't. Because I'm going to be honest with you, there is some stuff that you do need to be concerned about. There is some worries that are valid. There are some fears that you have to entertain, or you wouldn't be able to survive, or you wouldn't be able to function. But there is also some other stuff that you have no control over, so what the fuck are you scared of? What's fear gonna do in this situation? Yeah. I like that. I really like that. Just fine. Saturn is retrograde. Allow yourself to gain perspective. And Neptune being retrograde is going to help. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But first, let's look at Uranus. Uranus is sitting at 25 degrees of Taurus. And I want y'all to understand, Uranus is creeping up on Al Ghul. Now, Al Ghul is the fixed star. But Al Ghul is very prominent because Al Ghul is ominous. See, Al Ghul is symbolized by Medusa. But more than anything else, Al Ghul is about losing your mind, losing your head. And that could be literally or figuratively. But in this case, we're going to look at it figuratively. And so with Uranus sitting there on Al Ghul, and this being Taurus energy, this is where financial situations are making people lose their mind. The financial situation is making people go against their own values. I saw somebody make a post the other day, and we're not going to get into politics, but they made a post the other day. They said, it just cost over $100 to fill up my car. I spent so much in groceries or such and such. I did this. So if you think I care about 34 felonies, you can go cry to your motherfucking car. And they're talking about Donald Trump, and that's what people are. People don't give a fuck about values or what's right. They want to figure out how they can get more money in their pockets. I had a friend of mine who's also African American, who's been in prison with me, and that's where I met him, was in prison. And he's changed his life. He's a truck driver. He makes a lot of money. He's changed his life completely, but he's also a Capricorn, so he's a capitalist. And I'm a Cancer, so it gives a different perspective. And so here's the thing with this is we started arguing about politics. We watched the debate. He was on there trashing Biden, which I don't like Joe Biden, but I am against Donald Trump. Now, some people can't understand what that means. me being against Donald Trump doesn't mean I'm for Joe Biden, because I honestly believe that the best thing for America would be for Donald Trump to get arrested and locked up, and Joe Biden to be disqualified medically or mentally, and us to be forced to accept two different candidates. And that is still a minute possibility. That could still happen. But anyway, in this, we're kind of looking at this together, right? We're looking at this together. And he's trashing Joe Biden, and I'm like, bro, you're supporting Trump? And he said, yeah. And we argued and argued and argued, but I'm getting at him morally, and he's talking to me. And it finally got, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm about my motherfucking money. That's what he said. Ever is going to put more money in my pocket in office. And I said, you should have said that. You should have said that from the beginning. And I said, brother, I'm about what's right. I have children. What it was, cuz? I have children. I'm about what's right, motherfucker. I have honor. I'm not willing to sell myself out because my business isn't dependent on politics. Now, he's a truck driver, so gas prices really fuck with him. That makes things completely different. For me, I'm not a truck driver. I'm an astrologer and a numerologist, a teacher, a life coach, an influencer, a YouTuber, all of that shit. And so with me being this shit, the fact of the matter is, my money isn't dependent on politics, but his is. And so I saw it from his perspective, but I didn't agree. But immediately made me look at the situation like, man, that's where a lot of people are in America. A lot of people don't give a fuck about politics. They want more money in their motherfucking pockets. That's the truth. People don't give a damn about politics. They want more money in their pockets, and they're willing to go against their personal values that they built up, race, creed, whatever the fuck, because they want more money. And for them, Donald Trump represents more money in their pocket, because, to be honest with you, that's the question of Republican versus Democrat. Whether it's Donald Trump or George Bush or Mitt Romney or whoever the fuck. What you see with Republicans and Democrats is, with the Republican in the office, you're going to see more money. With the Democrat in the office, you're going to experience more freedom. You hear me? That's the truth of it. That's why it's liberal and conservative. And when they say liberal and conservative, in these days, it's not talking about values like it did back in the day. It's not talking about values. The Republicans are trying to put money in your pocket. The Democrats are trying to put more freedom in your life. You hear me? Now, you could also see, like I said, and I've related this back to where these days, because of the nature of business, people are willing to do things to make money that they would have condemned before. Whether it be OnlyFans, whether it be dancing on TikTok, whether it be this, whether it be that, whether it be making plates from their own house, whether it be whatever it is, they're willing to do things to make money that they've never made before. Why? Well, it's because those things have proved profitable. And anybody that's stuck in any old way of thinking, even myself, you're going to face some resistance from outside external sources. when you don't want to switch things up, when you don't want to try something new, when you're not willing to think outside of the box, when you're not willing to consider other perspectives and consider the situation, you're going to end up feeling some frustration. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So you have to be adaptable in your hustle. You have to look at things completely differently. You have to be willing to adjust. You have to be willing to adjust. And this is not a stable market. It's not a stable market. Changing the president isn't going to change the nature of business either, because there has been processes that have been set in motion for years now, that people's opinions is the most influential thing in the world. See, us as a people are more powerful than ever, and we hardly even realize that. If we make something popular, we can make it profitable. If we turn our back on something, the value goes down. Plain and simple. People started liking Stanley Cups, and Stanley Cups have been around for a whole minute. But it became profitable, or it went viral, and then that shit became something that was a fucking a commodity, to the point where that shit started costing hundreds, or in some cases thousands of dollars, and parents were willing to pay it, especially if they had it, because their kids wanted that. You see different businesses becoming profitable that weren't profitable before, like astrology and numerology and Reiki and all types of metaphysical practices. It's become a fad, so now it's more profitable than ever. Plain and simple. There's always been astrologers, there's been numerologists, but that shit hasn't been as prosperous as it is now. It was never a respected field of employment as it is now. They have to respect it now because it makes a lot of fucking money. And not everybody can, but I do.
Mason.
It's with him.
Yeah. Well, Brian, see, I wouldn't say that, because Pluto's just been in Aquarius for 2 years. Astrology has blown up in numerology over the last 10 or 15 years because Neptune in Pisces. See, that's the trick. Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces. Now, the nature of business has changed really drastically since the advent of COVID-19 and just before that. Plain and simple. The nature of business has changed. Things have become more remote. More opportunities to work from home. More opportunities as far as delivery or ride sharing or things that are more remote. A lot of the old restaurants don't really get the same business that they did before the pandemic. And so you just see the nature of business has changed. And so a lot of businesses have had to change the way that they operate. And the businesses that weren't willing to change the way that they operate, a lot of them suffered. Unless they were an institution, they suffered. They just closed down 500 Red Lobsters. Red Lobster used to be one of the most popular restaurants in the country because there was a place where poor people can feel bougie. I'm gonna take you to Red Lobster. We're getting the cheddar biscuits. Now, some of that has to do with the nature of business changing, and some of that has to do with them deciding that they were going to do the ultimate shrimp or the unlimited shrimp. And so people could go in there and pay a set price and get as much shrimp as they want, and that ended up making them take some major losses. And once they implemented that, they couldn't go against it, and they weren't willing to go against it. And so that ended up actually being their downfall. stubbornness, them not being willing to adapt and say, hey, you know what, this has been profitable, but this is the way it does. You know, but there's certain institutions that people still fuck with it because of the price. You hear me? And that's something that's different even right now. In a way, there's certain ways that stubbornness can pay off. Like, look at Arizona tea. Arizona tea is going to range anywhere from 99 cents to $1.59 for a jug like that, a tall boy can. But the fact that they haven't changed their price is why they're more prominent and profitable than ever. And so that pays off in a multitude of ways. A multitude of ways. Alright? You just have to stay adaptable. Don't get stuck or stubborn. Keep an open-minded approach. Now, here's another thing. People's values have changed drastically, and we talk about that all the time. But you can look over the last 5 years, people's values has changed drastically. What people are willing to accept, what people are willing to allow, ignore, and overlook has changed things in itself. You yourself can look back at the last 5 years, and I guarantee 99.999% of us will realize that our values have changed drastically. There's a lot of stuff that you're willing to do or accept or ignore now that you would have never done before. Not only because of the nature of social media, but also because, hey, if you don't, you ain't gonna make no fucking money. Shit's a trip, dog. People's values have changed. And I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's something. Let me tell you something, Dougie Fresh So Clean. Yes, $20 is $20. And you should know this. $20 is $20, but what you can purchase with $20 has changed drastically. You can't get the same amount of stuff that you could get for $20 before. I remember when I was a kid, if my mama and I remember one time my mama had income tax. And she gave me $20. And that might as well have been $100. Because I thought immediately of all the stuff I could buy with that $20. And for me, I was into wrestling action figures. Wrestling action figures were between $4 and $5. So I immediately realized I could go get 4 or 5 new wrestlers. Now, guess what one wrestler cost? $18. $18, and I see them all the time. I have 3 sons. $18 for one wrestling action figure. And that's relevant. I remember I could have $2 or $3 and I could go to the convenience store or the bodega or the corner store, however you want to look at it. And I could come out with 3 things. Maybe even 4 if I'm lucky. Because I could go in and get me a soda for 99 cents. And back then they had sodas to where when you twist the top, 1 in every 6 sodas would have something on there that says you win a free soda. A pint of ice cream was 89 cents to $1.10. A bag of chips was anywhere from 25 cents to $1. A candy bar was 69 cents. Hell, I remember one summer when I was a kid where gas was 69 cents a gallon. And so you could go in there, you could come out with some shit. Now, if you go in a convenience store with $5, you're coming out with 1 item, maybe 2. And so, just so we understand each other, Please understand, Pluto. Not I said Pluto. I was looking at a Pluto reading. My bad. Uranus in Taurus is changing all of this, but you can also make a lot more money doing stuff now than you ever could. You can make so much money right now, and there's no reason for anybody to be broke because there's so many ways to make money. The people that are complaining, oh, I don't make enough money, it's because they can't afford the lifestyle that they are perceiving other people have on social media that a lot of the times is not even real. They spend so much time to keep up with the Joneses. It's a trip. Now that brings us to Neptune. And Neptune is also now retrograde. And Neptune's going to be retrograde until December 7th. And so, here's the thing. There's been a lot of confusion. There's been a lot of projection. But with Neptune now retrograde, the rose-colored glasses come off. People start to see things for what they are. People start to realize, damn, we're lost. As a culture, we are lost. As a people, we are lost. You know, there's certain events that happen right now to where you really realize, like, man, we're fucked. In the United States, there was a political thing going on, but after I saw that presidential debate, I said professional, but that presidential debate, I'm actually with the majority of people who now realize, like, we don't have a good choice. And I told y'all this before, but a lot of people couldn't. A lot of people said, hey, this is Trump or this is Biden because that's what they had, a set value system or a belief. But once they saw that, it made people realize, like, damn, we don't have a good choice. Trump was up there lying the whole time and Biden was up there bumbling. And so after that, I saw more people than ever start to realize, like, damn, bro, we're fucked. If we don't have two different candidates, we're fucked. People start to realize, like, this shit is crazy. And then people also realize that shit doesn't even matter. Here's the funny thing. I told y'all, I was arguing with my friend about politics the other day. And the truth of the matter is, neither him or I are allowed to vote. We're arguing about politics and neither him or I have a choice in the matter. And so you start to really see things for what they are. And I want y'all to understand, rose-colored glasses isn't always a positive thing. People are always looking at something as better than what it is. Sometimes people see situations as worse. And so there's also times right now where you start to realize it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I was letting everything influence me to the point to where I was looking at things from a really negative perspective. Funny as it was, my daughter told me this the other day. She said, I think I told y'all about this, but she said, Dad, I realize I have a bad mindset. And she's a Capricorn. I said, what do you mean? And she said, I go through this stuff and I start panicking, I start freaking out, I start crying, and I start thinking that everything's bad. But the truth is, everything's not bad. As a matter of fact, things are better than they've ever been. But I'm so used to the way things used to be and the way things have been before that I start letting this negativity creep in and I start to project bad onto the situation. That's right, Sauce Walker. But yeah, they start to realize, hey man, and she started to realize I make a situation bad by my perspective of the situation. Look, as a culture, everything is projective. So you have to learn how to separate yourself from those projections. So you need to see things for what they really are. But you're not going to do that looking through everybody else's eyes and being bothered and being influenced by everybody else's perspective. What you have to do is let your own inner compass be your guide. You need to trust that main line to the divine that resides inside of you. And I'm going to tell you that and scream it like I mean it for as long as I can. Hey, you have to figure out what's right for you, separate from what's accepted by the culture or what's projected by the people that you fuck around with on a day-to-day basis. I was debating with somebody about it was either boxing or Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And I just said, hey bro, like I got frustrated. And I said, hey bro, I'm not gonna do this with, because he's got disrespect. I said, I'm not gonna do this with you because you wouldn't even be able to look me in my eye in real life. You wouldn't fuck with me in real life. And a motherfucker came on there and said, this is real life. And I had to tell him, no, it's not. This is social media. It might be your real life because you are allowing that to become what your life is centered around. But that shit is not real life. When I turn this shit off, your opinion of me or what you have going on is not going to matter to me. It only matters because I allow it to matter and because I tapped into it. I clicked on this comment section. I entertain this. The minute I choose to stop entertaining this, then it's no longer real for me. That's the truth. And so you just have to look right now and see what's worth entertaining in your life and what is a projection or expectation that it's not even what's up. I was watching, speaking of women's basketball, shout out to women's basketball. Because I was debating with somebody about Caitlin Clark and Diana Taurasi, who had a game yesterday, or it was on Sunday. And we're arguing, but then it took me a second to take a step back and gain perspective that the fact that we, two men, are sitting here debating about the WNBA is fucking pivotal. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The fact that I sat there and I watched a whole WNBA basketball game and was fully invested is huge. They have to pay them women more next season. They have to. And as much as we talk shit and people try to make it into a race war, Caitlin Clark is the reason behind that. Angel Reese is a part of it, but there wouldn't be an Angel Reese without that situation with Caitlin Clark in the national championship the year before last. If LSU hadn't beat Iowa and if Angel Reese hadn't put that John Cena "you can't see me" on on Caitlin Clark because Caitlin Clark had been doing it to everybody else, there wouldn't be a situation. But it gave Angel Reese the platform she needed. But the fact of the matter is, people's projections have turned this into a race war. I said something about Diana Taurasi, and as soon as I said something about Diana Taurasi, they said, "Oh, you just hating on Caitlin Clark because she's a white girl." What the fuck you mean? Diana Taurasi is a white girl. But they wanted to project that racism onto me because that's what the media has done. And that's what people's projections have done, is created a race war or a race debate behind two young basketball players who actually respect each other and who are actually both changing the game. Caitlin Clark has changed and revolutionized things and made it popular. And Angel Reese has played the villain in that, but Angel Reese also has showed up on the basketball court. Angel Reese has put together more double-doubles than any ever rookie has. And she's actually about to break a record for the most consecutive double-doubles for anybody. And so you immediately get this perspective. It's like the projection with politics. As soon as I said, fuck Donald Trump, I'm not with Donald Trump, I don't respect Donald Trump shouldn't be office, the first thing they said, they start doing is they start attacking me on Biden. Well, Biden's this and Biden's that. Well, I wasn't fucking talking about Biden because I feel like fuck Biden too. Fuck Biden too. Just because I'm against Donald Trump doesn't mean I'm for Joe Biden. When it comes to basketball, just because I like Angel Reese doesn't mean I hate Caitlin Clark. Just because I like Caitlin Clark doesn't mean I'm fucking cooning. I said something in defense of Caitlin Clark and the dude put a raccoon emoji up on my ass. Said nigga, you cooning. No, motherfucker, I'm just telling the truth. Another thing, we can look at SA right here looking like a dumbass. See, I'm not like everybody else. I love the Dallas Cowboys. I love the Dallas Cowboys, but unless your team is playing my team, I'm never going to talk shit about your team. Only other people do that. Their team could not be paying the Dallas Cowboys. Like, they can't rep their team without hating the Dallas Cowboys. I can rep my team and I can think other teams are okay. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. It doesn't mean I hate every other team. But y'all motherfuckers can't rep your team without hating the Dallas Cowboys. And that says something about your weak ass. SA, you know damn well Jalen Hurts is not a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. He can't throw better than Dak Prescott. He can run better, but that's not quarterbacking. He doesn't make better decisions. He doesn't have better statistics. He doesn't even have more wins. When they've played head-to-head, 8 times out of 10, or really it's 6 times out of 8, Dak Prescott has smashed Jalen Hurts. When you watch film of them, Dak Prescott is an infinitely better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. But see, I can say that I love Dak, and I respect and I promote Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is from Texas. Jalen Hurts is a great young black man who's not in trouble, who does everything he's supposed to do. So I have no hate for Jalen Hurts. What you got to do is get that hate out of your heart for Dak Prescott. You can look at boxing. And I can talk shit about Ryan Garcia cheating. I can go on one of these boxing groups on social media, and I can talk shit about Ryan Garcia cheating. And as soon as I do, they're going to say, well, fuck Haney. Fuck all you Haney tards. And the truth is, I'm not for Devin Haney. I don't like Devin Haney. I just am not a fan of cheating. But people want to project things onto you. But this is going to be the time over the next 4 or 5 months where the only thing that changes is things are going to be more real. People are going to see things for what they really are. See situations for what they really are. See people for what they really are. You even start to see that with boxing. People start to realize over situations that you see, and damn, if you follow Ryan Garcia, you'll see that Ryan Garcia really is having some issues, whether it be with addiction or mental health. He's really struggling. At first, it seems like it was just antics to sell a fight. But now, as time progresses and the wool comes off of your eyes, you start to see this dude is having issues. We see the presidential national debate, and we start to see, hey, we don't have a good choice. Both of these motherfuckers are fucked up. And Joe Biden is inept, and Donald Trump is inappropriate. You start to see both Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are amazing basketball players. You start to realize, hey, there's something that we have to change as people for anything to change publicly. The president is just a figurehead. So us as people have to change our perspective, change our approach, or we're going to go through the same old shit. Plain and simple. So you start to see things for what they really are. Plain and simple. There I go with the plain and simple again. What's up, my heaven? My. Hold up. Somebody said something to me. Sorry, I had to answer my calling. Now, Bria, see, not everybody's a fan of sports. I love sports. It's something that I've always had an affinity for. I was an athlete when I was younger myself. Um, and I'm competitive by nature. And so sports is the perfect arena for me. I have Mars sextile to Jupiter in my natal chart. So sports is something that's always been there for me. And as a lot of people, I was raised up loving the Dallas Cowboys. My dad loved the Dallas Cowboys. I'm from West Texas, but even if you're not from Texas, the Cowboys are America's team. The Cowboys are actually the most profitable sports franchise in the whole fucking world. Even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in almost 30 years, they are worth $9 billion. And it's from people hating them. It's not just because people love them, it's because people hate them. Floyd Mayweather didn't get rich because he was everybody's favorite boxer. It's because everybody hated him. Nobody really paid to go see Floyd win. The people that support Floyd Mayweather couldn't afford pay-per-view or tickets to a fight, unless it was celebrities. The people paid to see Floyd get whooped, and it never happened. And so every time Floyd went against whoever they put up against him and he didn't lose, it raised the stakes. All right, we'll find another motherfucker that's going to beat your ass. And so it raised the stakes to where, hey, I'm trying to see this motherfucker get knocked out. I'm going to pay it. This dude right here is supposed to be a bad motherfucker. He's going to beat the shit out of Floyd. But he doesn't. You see how that goes? But I would also say I'm a Cancer son, so what my family loves is what I love. My dad loved the Dallas Cowboys. From the area I was in, it's like a patriotic thing. And so and hell, even in America itself, loving the Dallas Cowboys is something that in a lot of places is an institution in its own right. It's an institution in its own right. You feel me? And so you start to realize, hey, I love this because it's a part of my history. It's a part of my upbringing. It's something I love. And it even comes back from my childhood. Like the Dallas Cowboys were Super Bowl champions when I was a kid. So it raised this affinity in me for that. But yeah. I also feel like being a Pisces moon, the Dallas Cowboys is the perfect obsession. I said exception. Obsession. Because you're delusional. You're delusional. No matter how many times they let you down, you're still back like, man, I love these motherfuckers and they're going to get this their year this year. It's their year this year. We're going to win it all this year. And so it just becomes a part of it. But back to the transits, let's talk about Pluto. Well, really understand Neptune is sextile to Pluto, so there's things changing, but it's starting from the inside out right now. People are starting to see things for what they are. And so as people start to see things for what they are, they start to realize, damn, there's some shit that needs to be changed. It has to change or the world is in a really bad place. And see, that's what Neptune sextile to Pluto represents, is a process of change. But it starts with you. It starts with you individually. Inside of you, you start to realize things for what they are. You start to feel a certain type of way about something, and that makes you realize, hey, something has to change. We got to do something differently. And then it transports out from there as people. And so that's what's up. That's definitely what's up. I need a few more of y'all to hit that like button. I need a few more of y'all to hit that super sticker, that super thanks, that super chat, that cash app. If you fuck with me, fuck with me. Now let me explain something to you, Dougie So Fresh So Clean, or Dougie Fresh So Clean. Most people born since 1950, so I'm talking about like 95% of all humans born since 1950 have Neptune sextile to Pluto. Now, there is some people who got caught in retrograde motion to where it's not, but now Neptune is only sexed out of Pluto in retrograde motion. And it's been that way for a while. See, I have Neptune exactly sexed out of Pluto in my chart, but it's retrograde. My Neptune and my Pluto are both retrograde because I was born in the summer. And so it brought them together for an exact sextile. But Neptune sextile out of Pluto is just, once again, a process of change, but the realization that that process starts with the changes that are inside of you. You realize that you can't go overthrow the government and defund the police, and you can't just switch things up just like that. Change has to be a process. And that process of change starts inside of you. If the world needs to be a better place, it starts with you being a better person. So work on that. I don't think you heard me. Yeah. Shit crazy. Now, with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, we start to realize how much things have changed. And us realizing how much things have changed makes us even more desirous of change. Or if not that, it makes us more open to the possibility of things being different or changing. You start to realize how weird things are, how peculiar of a situation that we're actually in as a people. Then you start to realize how powerful we are as a people, and we actually have the power to change things. Or you start to think, hey, this shit is so crazy, this could happen, or that could happen. And that shit is true, but just the possibility in itself changes things. I saw somebody post about seeing a UFO yesterday, and not one person condemned them or questioned their sanity. And that's big. That means the world has fucking changed. People are willing to accept things. The fact that people say stuff like, watch, soon there's going to be a fake alien invasion, or soon there's going to be a hologram of Jesus coming back, or soon they're going to rig the election. That actually manifests that as a possibility. Because that shit is so crazy, we just might try it. You just might try it. Now, oh, I love that vibe right there. That's sexy, it's dramatic, it's intense. It's like a mix of the Pink Panther and In the Heat of the Night. So you might be in the heat of that Pink Panther. Ooh, I like that. In the heat of that Pink Panther. But that next brings us to Chiron. Chiron's at 23 degrees of Aries, so look. What can I say about this? Well, first of all, we have to look at this from the perspective that we're responsible for ourselves, our reactions, our actions, our awareness, how accountable we are. And that right there is revealing. Like when you realize you're looking through the world from your eyes, plain and simple. Yes, there are other people in your vision and they're a part of your experience, but you're shaping your experience. So you're accountable for how you react to everything. You're accountable for your actions. But the only way to realize that is through awareness. And so the process of Chiron and Aries, as we've talked about before, is awareness, then acknowledgement, which allows for accountability, which allow for actions that bring healing. You hear me? This ultimate awareness. That means you got to hold yourself responsible for wherever your feet are or whatever situation you're in life. And sometimes that's also realizing that we're responsible for what we've allowed. That's a whole different concept for some of us. You're accountable for what you've allowed. You're accountable for what you ignore. You're accountable for what you accept. You're accountable for what you overlook. That's the truth. I don't think you hear me though. You gotta hold yourself accountable, baby. And that is what it is, or it was what it was, cuz. Now, just smile. If you don't do anything else today, just fucking smile. When you're in my presence, smile. I'm gonna smile for a while. Hold on. Now, the Black Moon Lilith has also shifted. Because the Black Moon Lilith is now at 0 degrees of Libra. So what's cool is Mercury is sextile to the Black Moon Lilith. So what people want to do is impress other people. But even beyond that sextile between Mercury and the Black Moon Lilith, with the Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees of Libra, over this next 9 months, people's relationships are going to come into question. But also people's image. And people are going to realize that they care way too much about what other people think about them. Or people are going to be so worried about what people think about them that they're going to make questionable decisions. This is where people are going to try to smooth things over and sugarcoat shit. This is where people are easily impressed. It's where they're easily influenced. This is where the appearance of things can get in the way. Yeah, you can get caught up in appearances. You can be superficial. You can be two-faced. You can say, I'm not like that, but you can be. You might be. Some of you will be. But this is also where the pygmies come to the playground. With the Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees of Libra, this is where the pygmies come to the playground. This is where people want to impress other people. This is where people want people to accept them and people to like them and people to promote them. When if you just kept it real, you would stand out. People want to fit in when you just need to stand out. See, I'm that naturally. I'm a standout. I could never fit in because I'm a fucking standout. But I do see situations in my life where I'm trying to impress people, where I care about what people think about me, and that influences the actions that I take. And so this is something that is going to be prominent over the next 9 months. It's people being worried about what other people think, and that influencing their decision-making process. People sugarcoating shit because they want to please other people, or they don't want to bother other people, and that making the situation more complicated than it has to be. It's interesting that for the next 9 months, the North Node is in Aries, but the South Node and the Black Moon Lilith are now going to be in Libra. And so the North Node is telling you, hey, fuck what people think. Just do what you got to do for you. Be honest in your expression. Experience your truth as a verb. Do what you got to do for you regardless of what anybody else thinks about it. Because as long as you're doing what's best for you, it shouldn't bother anybody else. And what's best for you should never be hurting anyone else. And if it is, then that probably has something to do with them. I don't think you heard me though. I don't think you heard me. Just vibe. And as far as the numerology of the day today, we're in an 8 vibration today. How do we get the 8? It's July 2nd, 2024. So July is the 7th month. You don't simplify a 7, you drop that down. It's the 2nd of the month. You don't simplify a 2, you drop that down. It's 2024. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8. So you drop the 8. So 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 8 is 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. But there is a connotation of a 2. And so this is about collaborative effort. This is working with other people and understanding what other people have going on, and through that, empowering yourself in your situation. Sometimes you might need an advocate or some advisement. Sometimes you might work better with a partner. There are times where 2 is better than 1. So yeah. What you gonna do? What the fuck you gonna do? What's up, Rach Jones? You said, what's Sun conjunct Venus and Cap retrograde mean? Means you take things too seriously. Sometimes that makes you sell yourself short, or it makes you not be able to enjoy a situation because everything has to mean something. You don't like to do anything for nothing. Everything has to be defined, and it has to mean something, or it has to have a means to it. And so you can't enjoy a spontaneous moment or just have fun. It's like, what does this mean? You can't enjoy another person because you're like, what are we? And so it just means that you take things too serious sometimes. And only you can change that. It doesn't mean that your situation is worse. It's your perspective of the situation makes things more complicated than they have to be. You make it difficult. So yeah. Brian C. What would you guess my life path is? It's actually very easy to guess. What would you guess my life path is? Oh, I know I'm right, Rachel. I'm one of the best at this. Is Uranus at 29 degrees symbolic? It can be. It's probably symbolic for you. You're a 9. I'm a master number 11. And that's all I have to say about the transits. I'm going to open the floor for questions for a little bit, but I'm going to come back with answering questions tomorrow too. Tomorrow we'll incorporate synastry and all of that too. We'll do a something priceless to keep your hump day jumping tomorrow. If everything goes well, I might have some business to attend to, but I'm definitely going to come here twice this week. Won't be Thursday. It might be Friday. Won't be Thursday because Thursday is a holiday and I don't celebrate holiday, especially the 4th of July. Well, I do. I pop fireworks for my kids and stuff, but I enjoy those days that my wife is off because I work all day the other days and she works away from home, and so we don't really get to connect during the day. So the days that my wife is off, we really spend a lot of time together. So we'll definitely be here tomorrow. You said, don't be upset. Interpersonal relationships. Your sun, moon, Neptune, and Pluto are all conjunct by a degree in Capricorn in the 12th house. Also, Capricorn rising. How do you see all those retrogrades playing out? I don't think I see them playing out for you in a bad way. I mean, they have to be influencing you directly, first of all. Bria C, I'm a master number 11. I'm nowhere near a 3. I have a 3 somewhere in my numbers. I forgot where. Well, I'm a life path master number 11. I'm a 3. My life destiny number is 3. My expression number or life destiny number is 3. So there's definitely a 3 in there. I'm here to create and all that other stuff. That is a part of my thing. And I have created things that inspire people. So I have pointed that. But my life destiny or expression number is 3. My soul urge or heart's desire number is also the master number 11. My personality number is 1. And that's like Leo or Aries energy. My personality number is a 1. My maturity number is a 5. My balance number is a 5. My birthday number is an 8. So yeah. But anyway, I don't think it'll hit you very much differently, Watkins Cat House. If you don't have anything at 29 degrees or at around 19 degrees, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And I mean, you have to understand these outer planets, when it comes to even Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, they're retrograde for almost half of the year, for at least 4 or 5 months out of the year. And so this is going to have very subtle effects. It's not what people make it out to be on social media when they're doing that fear mongering. See, sometimes that's the only way that certain astrologers can get people's attention to buy readings from them, is to scare them and say, oh, we got Saturn retrograde coming up. You need a Saturn retrograde reading. We got Neptune retrograde coming up. You need a Neptune retrograde reading. And the truth is, that shit's there for half the year. It's a lot more subtle than you think. That's what's up, Bria C. Yeah, my life destiny or expression number is 3, but I'm not a 3. A 3 is part of me. I need to utilize that 3 on my journey. But I'm a master number 11, so I am very creative intuitive, empathetic, understanding, but also very conflicted and complicated. RG, you know that's a lie. Oh, man. Hold up, I gotta stand up real fast, y'all. Give me 1 second. I gotta stand up for a second. All right, we're back. I had to adjust some things. So we have 50 more minutes. Let's make them count. Let me help you out, RG. Nah, let me unhide him so I can talk this shit to him real fast. I need to entertain this, just for me. Just for me, let me entertain this motherfucker. Look, RG. You a clown in your soul, bro. See, the truth of the matter is, there must be something fucked up inside of you for you to come somewhere where we're sharing in a vibe and we're helping each other and try to troll. Because even with this gap, this gap, I'm flyer than you will ever be. I'm flyer than you will ever be. There are thousands of people that tune into this channel. Matter of fact, on this live right here, there will be thousands of people who see this. This is about astrology and numerology and all types of stuff that helps you obtain knowledge of self. I'm helping your funky ass. So for you to come on and try to troll me only exposes you and your ineptitude. It only makes us see that you're a bitch. This is a vibe tribe. You can observe it, but you'll never be able to be a part of it. Now that reminds me of something that I'm going to talk about here in a second. But the truth of the matter is, we don't need you. You tapped into this. All you got to do is swipe up, bitch. Swipe up. Because you've already been banned and I let you back. And I only let you back to fire your funky ass up because you're about to go again. But the truth of the matter is, there's no reason to come on here trolling. There's no reason to come on here trolling. I don't feel sad. I'm going to have people comment the whole time. There's just a whole glob of goddesses here on this channel that love me. You hear me? You hear me? There's no way you can make me feel sad because I'm not affected by you. I let you back in. Now, you was already banned. I let you stay. I let you stay. You're about to go again. But you see this Tina Clara Marie, Watkins Cat House, Ebony, Remy Raines, Tiny Drea, Sarah Woods. These are all beautiful women. Surrey Moon, Tiger Lily, they love me. They love me. What you mean? It's just showing who you are. You see this? You see this? You see my brother, the Earth Shaker, the 9th Avatar? You see Bria C here? I might have a gap, but you got an ugly soul, bro. That's the truth of the matter is. You have an ignorant expression. You didn't take any time away from me. You're here. You're part of the chat. I chose to entertain this. You didn't take anything away from anything. There's times on here where 20,000 people see these chats. And there's gonna be all types of people saying all types of shit. They're gonna call me bootleg Drake. They're gonna talk about my hair. They're gonna talk about my eyes being closed. They say, damn, your eyes closed. They're gonna talk about my teeth. But even with these fucked up teeth, I'm finer than you will ever be. You hear me? There's the smile. I hope you keep it for a while. A ViBrAtIoNaL, motherfucker. Speaking of this, when I say you can observe but you can never be a part of it, that reminds me of my favorite book. My favorite book is part of Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, and it's called MeRcUrY the Devil. And it's an amazing book. It's probably one of the greatest works of literature that I've ever read. And as funny as it is a fiction book, supposedly. But there's so much spiritual knowledge in that book that you have to take it seriously. And so in this book, the devil comes to speak to the vampire Lestat. And he wants to recruit Lestat in a certain way. And so what he's going to do is he says, look, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to lay out creation for you. I'm going to show you how I fell. I'm going to show you the truth about everything. I'm going to take you to heaven. I'm going to take you to hell. And then I'm going to let you choose for yourself. It's called MeRcUrY the Devil. And in the book, MeRcUrY, who is the devil, what we would call Satan, he's a fallen angel like he is in all biblical connotations. But more than being cast out, he's more questioning. And because he's questioning, he cannot be a part of the kingdom of heaven. Because the kingdom of heaven takes complete faith in the Creator. And he questions things. He's a curious soul. And so MeRcUrY can go to heaven. He's from heaven. But he is not of heaven. He cannot participate in heaven. He is not a part of heaven. So he can go there. He can speak with God or the Creator. He can see everything, but he's not a part of it. And heaven in this book is something that is cohesive, cooperative, creative, and compulsory. Meaning it's all together. Heaven, it has different structures, but it all flows at one. All of the people are a part of the experience together. And he can go there. He can see it and observe it. Even interact with it. But he can never be a part of it. And it's because he himself excluded himself from such by questioning. You feel me? He questioned. Hold up. That's sad. Hold up. But that just reminds me of the trolls and the fuck people that come in here in this chat. Like, y'all can observe this. Because when we hide you on this channel, you're not blocked from seeing the channel. You just can't speak. You can't be a part of this. And you excluded yourself. Because we're vibing. This is a vibration. It's an experience. So when you come in on a low vibration, you're immediately separating yourself from what we're doing here. So you can observe it. You can watch. You just can't participate. It's the truth. Bria C. Manifest it. Manifest that in your life. Now, does anybody else have any questions? That book is called Memnock the Devil. It's one of Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles. You know, Interview with the Vampire, which is a popular series now. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the series because they've changed too many things. But there's also Queen of the Damned, which was, besides Akasha, which was Aaliyah's part, a trash-ass movie compared to the books. Cheap and crashy. Cringy, even. Because Stuart Townsend could never play Lestat. Tom Cruise can do it. The guy that plays Lestat on the TV show can do it. But Stuart Townsend just doesn't embody Lestat's energy. You have Louis de Pontefract. But there's so many stories. There's the Vampire Armand. There's the Vampire Lestat. There's Pandora. There's Blackwood Farm. There's Tale of the Body Thief. There's Memnock the Devil. There's Blood and Gold, which is an amazing book in itself. It's really so historically accurate that it's crazy. She has books about werewolves also. She has books about Christianity. She does extensive research. She has books that are erotic in nature. She has the Mayfair Witches. You hear me? I'll check it out, Watkins Cat House. But yeah, she has Lasher and Taltos and the Mayfair Witches book. She has the Mayfair Witches show, which is awesome. The Mayfair Witches show is awesome. Spiritual Truth Seeker, what's up with it? You said, could I please elaborate on Gemini in the 12th house with Venus conjunct Saturn, or also Venus conjunct Saturn? Is Venus in Gemini conjunct Saturn in the 12th house? Or are you just saying elaborate on Gemini in the 12th house? First of all, with Gemini in the 12th house, you overthink situations. Your mind is somewhere all over the place. Some people could even say you're a little crazy. I'm not going to say that, but some people might even say that because your mind jumps from one thing to the next and your moods change constantly. And you don't really, you might realize, but other people don't realize that you do fine with emotions. Feelings are fine. You understand that you have feelings. It's your mind that fucks with you. People think that you can't handle your emotions when the truth is, the only reason you can't handle your emotions sometimes is because your mind gets the best of you. And then with Venus conjunct Saturn, well, first of all, you only want commitment. You only a serious relationship will really do for you. Even with those being Gemini placements, you need somebody that can keep you, if that is Gemini, you need somebody that can keep you stimulated, keep you interested, and you need somebody who doesn't make you feel crazy. You need somebody that provides you with a little bit of stability. You need somebody who provides you with a little bit of stability. You want your relationship to be your stable place. And you want somebody that you can learn from, somebody who's mature. And a lot of the times you just don't see that. So it seems like you're fickle, or it seems like but a lot of the times you get stuck on one person because that person is what you need. And even if that person is not readily available to you, their conversation is everything. they're the type of person, they're really the only person who can keep you interested. So sometimes it makes it seem like you're dismissing stuff that might be better for you because you would rather have something that is the right vibe. And that's not something that comes around very often. So it's going to take a long time for you to find what's right for you in a healthy way. And you just take you take your relationships with people very serious, even if it doesn't seem like such. And so you don't waste your time on a lot of bullshit. You might have fun and flirt, but you don't waste your time on a lot of bullshit. And you like what you like. You like intelligence. You like maturity. You like somebody who can keep you mentally stimulated. You like somebody who can carry on a conversation, and that's not something that comes around very often. And you kind of, because of that, seem like somebody who doesn't want to commit to anybody, or somebody who likes to have, you know, some extra shit going on. But it's just like, that's the person that you connect with. That's the person that you talk to. And so a lot of times you're willing to accept that for what it is until you can have the real deal. But ultimately, you want the real deal. Yeah, I appreciate that, Spiritual Truth Seeker. Vanessa Marie, you said, if you have Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto retrograde in your chart, would you say the retrogrades on those planets can feel familiar? It could, but Saturn might be different, but Neptune and Pluto being retrograde in your chart don't affect you as much. Now, I will say this. As a person who has Pluto retrograde in my first house in my natal chart, I still have all of that intensity and all of that stuff, but I realized that instead of being such a magnetic and adventurous explorer, I'm a really intense person. And so a lot of I change myself all the time, and I'm the type of person who changes situations. Situations don't change me. You hear me? I'm a catalyst in my own right because of the intense stuff that goes on inside of me. So I'm always changing inside, and that makes me a hard person to deal with. And so I've played so many different characters in my life. That's different. Now with Neptune retrograde, and it being in my third house in Capricorn, like, I doubt myself a lot. I have so many gifts, but I doubt them. I doubt them. And the reason I doubt them is because I'm not getting paid for them. Because Neptune and Capricorn, that's kind of what comes. I don't see what my gifts are worth if I'm not making money off of them, or if I'm not getting recognition for them. And so I can be psychic, and I can be empathetic, and I can be musically talented, but if I'm not the best, if I'm not getting paid for it, if I'm not getting validation or recognition at the very least, then that shit's useless to me. And it has nothing to do with the situation, because it is valuable. It has to do with how I feel inside. And so there's that thing with that. With Saturn being retrograde, like for instance, my Saturn is retrograde in my second house in Sagittarius. And so here's the thing. It's not because I was just born in poverty, because I did go through some hardships in my life, but my mom's side of the family had money. I've had opportunities to have money, but I've squandered those away. I have lived in poverty, but it was by choice. When I lived in poverty, it's because I chose to go live with my dad instead of living in a safe and stable home, because I wanted to be free. I didn't want to live by my uncle's rules after my mom died. The choices that I've made that have made me have financial hardships is because I didn't manage money very well. There's times even now where I don't charge enough for my services. And no matter how many times people, especially my financial advisor and the people that really value me, say, hey, bro, you should be charging more. My sister Tiara has told me from the beginning, bro, you should be charging way more. You're selling yourself short. My business partner and my advisor, Queen Machete, Joali, she tells me all the time, bro, you selling yourself short. Stop having sales. Louis and my sister told me one time, Louis Vuitton don't have sales. When business slows down, they raise their prices, and people pay them. People pay it. And so the truth of the matter is, I sell myself short in situations. I don't manage money very well. I've had opportunities, but I fucked them off with loose morals. That's Sagittarius also. Until I developed principles, I really didn't make money. I didn't manage money very well. And a lot of times I didn't have money because I didn't work. I wanted to sell drugs. I wanted to be free. I didn't want to do what I was supposed to do. And so when I did establish a business or have a job and I worked consistently and I did what I was supposed to do, I saw the money. And then as it takes time to mature, I've had to develop ways of handling money better. And I do great now. But it's just taking time and maturity. And it's not because of external situations. Some people are born into poverty. With Saturn in the second house, they were born into poverty. They had no choice. They grew up and I had a friend of mine named Neckbone. Or his name is Byron, but they call him Neckbone. And he grew up in a house in the hood with nothing but roaches and rats. His mom has passed on now, but his mama sold dope. His brother sold dope. Some of his brothers robbed and steal. Nobody had a job. They lived off a government check and drug sales. And he was born into that household. He had no choice. No fucking choice. Me, I never had to deal with that. I've had poverty in my life. But it's because I chose to go into those situations. Hell, I used to leave my house on at least the middle class part of town and walk to the hood and hang out there with him. I used to go sleep in his house every night with him. He was my best friend. I used to go stay in his house with the roaches and rats, and because I wanted to sell dope. I didn't have to sell dope. I wanted to sell dope. My uncle had a stable home where we had everything we needed, and we had a lifestyle we could never imagine. And I chose to go live with my dad, who smoked crack, who had the electricity cut off all the time, who did, because I wanted to be able to move around and do whatever I wanted to do as a teenager. I didn't want to live by my uncle's rules. I was married to a lady who was an executive for the electric company. And she had an amazing soul. We had a positive experience. She showed me a lifestyle that I've never experienced before. And I still chose to leave her and go stay with some motherfucking nothing. And I don't want to call another human being nothing, but just the situation was nothing. I chose to leave my wife that had all of that money at that time. That gave me a lot. And she wasn't a bad wife. She didn't do anything. But I chose to leave her so I could go fucking suck in the hood and sell drugs in the hood. I did that shit. And so it's not with the retrograde, it's not the external situations, it's you inside making foolish decisions. And so I had to develop principles. And as I develop principles, I start to see my life change and I start to see situations pay off. But it takes a lot longer because it's an internal process. You feel me? Like, for instance, I'm almost willing to bet my mother-in-law has Saturn retrograde and maybe in the second house, because we brought her here. We gave her all of the tools she needed to get a job. We bought her hundreds of dollars worth of clothes. We let her stay here for 6 months to look for something that worked for her. And then when she finally got a job, you know, we said, hey, you can move around. So she went and stayed in a motel, but she doesn't want to work. She would rather do nothing all day. She would rather just... And so she chose to go back to the streets. She stopped going to work. She got put out of her motel room. And so now she's on the streets, living in a car. She had every opportunity. She had a job paying more than she's ever paid before. She had a place that was stable as long as she paid her rent. All she had to do was go to work and pay her rent. And she chose to go live in the streets. And no, she doesn't have mental illness. Some people in the streets do, but she doesn't. She doesn't have any mental illness. Oof. But yeah, that shit's a trip, bro. She doesn't want stability. She wants freedom. But see, for me, I had to realize I have responsibilities. I have children. And then I started to develop different principles. I started feeling positive being a provider. I developed morals to where I'm not gonna sell drugs. I don't do drugs. I'm not selling drugs to people. I'm not contributing to poisoning anybody. I don't fucking steal. I'm not no fucking player the way that I was then, to where I would just sit up and serve good dick and allow my woman to take care of me. Like, no, I'm a man. I developed some grown man mentality. I'm a provider, and it feels good to be a provider. People respect me. People come to me for help. Instead of me having to ask people for this or look for somebody to front me something and then I fuck them over and all this shit. No, I built a business with my bare hands helping people. A business with my bare hands from the ground up, helping people. And now I'm internationally known. I have slow days, but there's no doubt that I have built an international business. There's no doubt that people come to me when they need help. People who just need a little bit of money. When my nephews and nieces don't have anybody that can help them, and they can say, "Hey, Uncle Rodrigo, could you send me some money on CashApp? Can you do this?" When my daughter is having a hard time and she says, "Hey, Dad, you think you can shoot me this?" When my other daughter, who's grown now, 21 years old, when she says we can't buy groceries and this, I can say, "Hey, I'm about to CashApp you a little something. You can go get you some groceries." You feel what I'm saying? When my best friend who's in his addiction is struggling, and he can say, it might not be, he can say, "Hey, bro, can you send me $10? Can you send me this?" And he can say, "Oh, I'll pay you back," and I know he won't, but I can send it to him. Knowing that I was a person before that was having to get a blunt fronted. I can say, "Hey, man, front me a blunt. Front me a sack till Friday. Do this. Hey," you know what I'm saying? I'm living in my girlfriend's house, and if she gets mad or I fuck up, I'm gonna get put out, and then it's on to trying to use my looks or my sex to put me in another position to win. Like, that shit's trash. A hobosexual or a homeless sexual, however you want to look at it. The fact that I was about just all of the fucked up shit. Like, that shit changed when I grew the fuck up. I grew up and I started seeing people respecting me, people needed me, and I developed a different set of principles. That changed my outlook. I've been broke and had nothing. Now, if I get under $500, which is still, that's in my account, and I'm talking about besides bills paid and still have, like, I'm gonna start panicking. And I mean, I usually have way more than that, but I start panicking. Like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? If a crisis comes up, what am I gonna do? And so now it's just where I realize that I have a responsibility, where I have morals, I have principles, and I really enjoy people looking up to me. I enjoy people being able to come to me for help. I enjoy being somebody who's trusted. I remember even before I changed my life completely, I went from being a dude that nobody trusted to where a friend of mine, he used to sell dope. And he didn't really have a house. He had a lot of money, but he didn't stay in a house. He stayed in a motel, or he'd be out hustling all night because he sold meth. But when he was coming down off that hustle or off doing the drugs, he used to just come to my house and he would just sit down and say, "Hey, bro, I'm going to chill here for a little bit. I'm going to take a nap," basically. And basically, he didn't have to say he was going to take a nap, and he usually did because he's trying to stay awake. But he'd pull $10,000-$15,000 in cash out and put it in his lap and just fall asleep. And for him to come feel comfortable in my presence and fall asleep like that, and he's like a little brother to me, but it's just like, man, that was something. Even then, that's really the start of it. That was really the start of it, because it was like, damn, like this dude trusts me. And so it's like, I want him to trust that when he wakes up, everything that he had, he's still gonna have it, and everything, and he might even have more. And the fact that he lives this really dangerous lifestyle to where, you know, he's out in the streets and he's having to live a certain way, and he has to carry a gun and everything that he does. The fact that he can come in here with me and feel safe enough to go to sleep and rest and tell me, hey, bro, I just came over. He didn't need anything from me. I didn't do drugs with him at that time. So he's just like, hey, bro, I know you're gonna sit there and watch over me, and I'm gonna be okay. And so that right there was something that kind of started something inside of me, to where it's like, man, you're somebody that people trust and respect, and that feels good. Where I was the same person before, where you wouldn't dare get caught slipping around me, because I'm getting you for everything. Everything. And so that changed. That changed a lot. And then, funny as it is, working a job consistently. When I've had all types of jobs. I've had so many different jobs. But I started working for a bar. And I started out as a bar back, and then I ended up as a bouncer, or a bouncer and a bar back. And then I ended up as the assistant manager and then the manager. But it took a certain amount of trust. And so when I went from being a bar back to the bouncer, it felt like that was my place. These were my people. I had to protect them. So it brought a different sense of responsibility inside of me, a different mentality. And so it immediately became a place that I felt responsible for, and I had to protect. And so as I felt responsible for that place and I had to protect that place, I really got into a space to where nobody's going to take anything here. Nobody's going to disrespect this place. This is my house. This is my place. And even though it wasn't, it still became a place to where people looked for me. And I wasn't the type of bouncer that was always fighting and shit. I did get into some shit, but it was more or less like the people in that bar, and it was very popular. On any given night, there could be 500 or 600 people in there. And so I could just see myself going up to people and saying, hey, bro, before you act a fool in here, before you trip out, understand I'm trying to help you. Listen to what I'm trying to say to you. And I can tell them, hey, don't do this and don't do that. And people, more than they were scared of me as a bouncer, because I'm not a huge dude. I'm big right now, but I'm not a huge dude. And so for me, it wasn't because they were scared of me. It's because they respected me and they trusted what I was telling them. Like, hey, man. And that's why I was so good at what I was doing. And because I would stand behind it, whatever it was. But because I could say, hey, look, you're in a great place. And if I go to say somebody that's too drunk, hey, I'm trying to help you out. I don't want you to go to jail. I want you to get to your car. I want you to get home safely. And they trusted me in that. The fact that a person would give me keys to cash registers, and people who would give me keys to safes, and people who wanted me to watch over them while they counted thousands and thousands of dollars, that became something that meant something to me. And so the consistency of that, and then also just dealing with my wife in a way that she was the first woman that I ever dealt with that wasn't going to take care of me financially. She's going to, when we first got together, she gave me the tools to take care of myself. She got me the job at the bar. Her through a friend, a friend of hers who ended up being my best friend. But she called him, and she's like, "Hey, I got my man. He's this. Hook him up with a job." Okay, he hooked me up with a job. And so beyond that, she's like, hey, you need a way to get to work? I'm going to buy you a car. It wasn't like she was buying me a car because she wanted, so I could ride. And when before that, it was dropping people out, dropping my girl off at work so I could go hustle, which I wasn't really good at hustling because I was a drug addict. And so I could go around and fuck around so I could sell a little dope and look like I was selling. And really it was about looking like I was selling dope and fucking around with a whole bunch of females. Like a lot of motherfuckers do. But it's more or less like, no, I'm going to put you in this whip. You're going to go to work. And from this point on, I expect you to pay bills here. We have children. I'm not going to take care of you. And so it was more or less like, boom. And she's damn sure not going to pay for habits, whether it be cigarettes or weed or anything else. And so it was just like, boom, I slowly grew up And it was during my SaTuRn return that all of that happened. But I grew the fuck up. I developed principles of living, and I became a man for real. And that felt good to me. And so that became something that I put stock in. Instead of just slanging good dick. Now we have 15 more 15 more minutes. Get your questions out as we can. Yeah, my throat is hurting. Maybe I've been clearing it too much today. Natal Mars or transit Mars in natal 12th house. That's an interesting one to think about. Because the energy that you're not expressing, the stuff that you're holding in, becomes a problem for you with Mars in the 12th house. You have energy, but you're not expressing it healthily, and in certain ways you're repressing it, so it creates frustration, or it makes things complicated in the expression of it. And you know what, y'all? I think a lot of the throat issues I have, besides the structural stuff, is because my sons have had bad throats too. So a lot of this time I've been stripping about shit. Our allergies are fucked up in here. Because when I get my allergies together, my throat doesn't hurt. But, you know, cancer wouldn't cause congestion. It would have a tumor, and it would have growths, and maybe some sensitivity, but not congestion and the ear draining and all that other shit. That shit has to do with allergies. And so I probably have cobblestone throat, to where I'm always fucking just having drip, post-nasal drip that's irritating me. So yeah, we got 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Let's talk about it. Let me see. And look, he done said Hawk Tua. The fact that y'all made that girl famous for that shit is stupid as fuck. I'm gonna be honest. The fact that people were, and I'm not trying to get on you, but that shit is whack than a motherfucker. Wasn't whack when she did it. It wasn't whack when she did it. I can see she has a lot of charisma. Let me tell you something. She was being authentic, and it was original. It was funny. It was sexy. But when other people do it and everybody started copying it, it became pathetic. Plain and simple, it became pathetic. Like, you're that whack and unoriginal. And I'm not talking about you, because, I mean, you're just a part of the culture. But that's what we did as a culture. Is we took that, and it's something that was funny. And because people these days can't just enjoy something and see it as a moment, they have to take it and make it into something that it's not, through projections. And I mean, shout out to her. But to everybody that's copying it, and everybody who's so caught up in it, like, it was cool, but it wasn't brilliance. It wasn't comedic excellence. You feel me? It was very original. It was very sexy. It was very funny when she did it. But then when everybody started saying it, it just was like, that shows how unoriginal as a people we are. You know, it once again points to Neptune and Pisces culture. Like, this is what you're caught up in. It's not that it's damning or that it's immoral. It's cute. But that shit has become a thing that's made her a cultural icon. AA, you said you've heard some astrologers say that Gemini ascendants have success later on in life. Is there any truth to that? I mean, it depends on their placements. I would have to look what Saturn is doing there. That depends on more than just them being a Gemini ascendant. I would look at Saturn for me. So yeah. What astrologers have you heard say that? Well, what's the usual 10th house of a Gemini ascendant? Pisces. And what does success mean to you as an individual? Saturn in Aquarius in the 9th house for a Gemini ascendant. I think that depending on how close Saturn is to the midheaven, but I just don't think that has an influence on your success. And success is defined in different ways. But Saturn in the 9th house in Aquarius more or less means you have a lot of stuff to learn as you become more open-minded and mature. And as you become more authentic and original, you really start to access different truths about life and about experience. So I would say that there are a lot of things that get better for you with maturity with that Saturn placement. And as you become more disciplined in your life and as you care less what other people think and you don't need so much external validation. But does that transport into success? And the only way to answer that is understanding what your definition of success is as an individual. And so we got 5 more minutes. And so if any of y'all are interested in any astrological readings whatsoever, don't ever get at me in these comments. Instead, get at me in my email, which is mr.turner1300@gmail.com. That's MR period TURNER 1300@gmail.com. A Vedic astrologer would have a different perspective. So it's possible they have different ways of they determine things. That could be because of a whole bunch of different stuff. Spiritual Truth Seeker, you said Capricorn North Node in the 7th house. You're working on stability and a long-lasting successful union now in your season years. I could believe that. I could believe that. You are here to experience relationships, but you have to mature and get serious about them. Vedic is more complicated than Western. It's not even more complicated, it's more complex. There's complexities. Complexities. Maybe one day. I'm not a Vedic astrologer. And I understand the nakshatras, and I have a rudimentary understanding of Vedic astrology, but you would really have to get with a Vedic astrologer who is into making those type of predictive statements, and into somebody who can look into D9 and D60 and D10 and look into all of those navasmas, and that would really help you more than just somebody who has an understanding of placements and understanding of nakshatras like myself. You did. I need somebody to hit that CashApp that's pinned. I need somebody to hit that super sticker, that super thanks, that super chat. Just fine. No, I was gonna go live this week. I feel good. I had other things to do. I had readings that I had to complete yesterday, and I even did one before I came live today, but I got them done, and so my books are clear at the moment, so I have a chance to come at it and come live. So that's why I'll probably be able to come live, if not tomorrow, Friday. I'm gonna come live at least one more time this week. I hope I can come tomorrow. It just depends on what's going on. I might need to rest my throat. I don't know what goes on with that, but I definitely will come live either tomorrow or Friday. There might be a top 5. That would be Friday. I'm not going to do a top 5 on a Wednesday. We'll see. That bitch has a bob to it. Top 5 Dallas Cowboys of all time. Bob Lilly. Bob Lilly. Emmitt Smith. Roger Staubach. Michael Irvin. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders. I almost said Charles Haley, but Deion Sanders. He's so iconic. My birthday was okay. It was chill. I was, I was able to chill, and I came live for like 4 hours on that day. But yeah, when it comes to Troy Aikman, you said Aikman. Aikman would be like number 6 or 7, but Even though he won 3 Super Bowls, Roger Staubach was more iconic and probably a better quarterback as a whole. Roger Staubach revolutionized football. I love Troy Aikman. And he was a great quarterback. He's a Hall of Famer. Darren Woodson. Doug So Fresh, So Clean. Darren Woodson. Not Rod Woodson. I mean, the top 5 Cowboys of all time are not my favorite Cowboys of all time. My favorite Cowboys of all time are probably Tony Romo, Marion Barber, or DeMarco Murray, one of the two. So there's really 6 of them. Des Bryant, Roy Williams, the safety from the University of Oklahoma, that hard hitter Roy Williams, and then probably Dion. Ooh, this is the one we're leaving on. That bitch jamming. Watch that kick in like cat scratch fever. Watch it. Ooh, that's a vibe. Yeah, Marion Barber was awesome. He was a beast. R.I.P. Marion Barber. He struggled with mental health issues. Maybe it's because he was running into people with his head. He died from heat exhaustion when he didn't have to. Being out in the streets. I love y'all. Yeah, Marion Barber died like 2 years ago. He was living in the streets in Dallas and shit, and he died of heat exhaustion. He had a home, but he chose to be out in the streets. I love Charles Haley too. He's one of my favorites. DeMarcus Ware, Charles Haley, Leon Lett. I love all of them. I love Micah. I love Dak. I love Dez. I love CD Lamb. There's a lot. I'm a Cowboys fan for real. I love Antonio Bryant. A lot of people don't remember Antonio Bryant. I love Terrence Williams. I love T.O. I like Tashard Choice. I liked all of them. But hey, I'm finna go. I love y'all. I've been here as long as I can be for free. I'll see you next time.